Alright, here's an update on our 71 Z28. We're running EFI Source megasquirt 3 gold box. Kind of went over this a little bit earlier, but just going to give you an update. It's got a serial USB, onboard SD card, so that will plug into there. Since this is a turbo car, we've had to add a few things and change a few things on it. But it's basically an LS with a turbo 400 behind it. So anyway, we've got our wideband in here. Essentially, we're running the hooker cast iron manifolds, which come across the passenger side, dump it in the back, have a crossover, merge in the back of that, come up here. We got our wastegate down there, coming in through and through a flex hose to the bottom of the turbo, top of the turbo out, and then all the way about the back. Comes into a Y back by the transmission, so we retain the two mufflers on it, so it'll be fairly quiet. So, the rundown of the wiring harness. Since we are going to have traction control or boost control on it, we added a few things. So, essentially, it comes with a main relay and some fuses, a switched ignition, and a battery wire. And I added a whole bunch of other stuff to it because of other things that I wanted to have working on it. Essentially, you have a boost wire coming out of there. That'll go to our boost control solenoid, which has 12 volts on one side, and then the megasquirt grounds it out through the other. So essentially, that'll be tied into there. Coming out of here, we've got a tachometer wire, and we have a flex fuel sensor wire, which are flex fuel sensors in the back. It doesn't come with a fuel pump relay. It comes with a fuel pump wire. So I had a fuel pump relay, two electric fan relays because we're running LS1 fans, and then trans brake relay. Some relay fuses here, and then we also have some spare fuses if we want to add other things later on. So on this side we have a small pink wire, which is switched ignition, and then battery, and it'll tie into those over there. We got a small ground wire here for the data logging. Have a LED, and then just temporarily I got a quick little micro switch there, and then for the trans brake I got a temporary push button switch right there. And this will be all underneath by the glove box underneath. So from here, made a 1-inch hole in the firewall. It's a 2-inch grommet, and a 1-inch because that's where I'll fit all my connectors through. So coming out of here, I tied in a couple extra things. One was a 14.7 Spartan wideband controller, and then a heater and wideband controller LED to tell us what's going on with that. And then I added a fuel pressure transducer, which was off the back of the intake. I got these transducers from eBay. This one goes up to 100 psi, it's 0 to 5 volts or input, and then the output is 0.5 to 4.5 volts. So you have to set up your user specified inputs. And then we also have coming off of here, we have another 200 psi transducer for our oil pressure, because we're probably going to have good oil pressure. Over here we've got the crank position sensor. So off the front we have a couple of inputs, spare inputs, and what we're doing is we're running my notes, PT5 and PT4. 5 is the rear VSS, so this is the rear. We're going to put this on the pinion, and then I'll show you the pickup on it for a little bit. And then the front VSS, we'll run the tooth wheel on that. And for the actual Hall effect sensors, these things are 99 cents on eBay. I've had real good luck with them, and they just work fantastic. People say, oh, they're cheap, they're junk. I've never had one fail, so it just flat out works. So essentially this will go within about 50 thousandths or 20 thousandths of this tooth. And as it spins around, it sends a signal into the megasquirt. And it is runs off either 5 all the way up to 36 volts. I run them off of 5 volts. Another neat thing about them is, on the back side, right by the cable, there's a little indicator LED, so you can spin the wheel or spin the drive shaft and verify that this transducer is working. So I'll have one for the front, one for the rear. Like I said, oil pressure, fuel pressure. We did have to change out the map sensor because we're going to be running about 20 pounds of boost. So I also bought a pressure transducer right here. This is going to go in right behind the throttle body, which will be, it goes from minus 14.5 to 30 psi. So we're going to be running about 20 pounds of boost. So the EFI Source harness comes with standard GM pigtail, but I changed it over to this, which is similar to a TPS. And we have 4 other injectors in the coils. Coolant temperature, TPS, and IAC. So had to add a few things to it, but it's because we have added capability, which is pretty cool, and it should work out really well.